The other area that we need to spend more time talking about is actually supporting our new teachers. And this is because if we look at the statistics still show that we have a large number of teachers transitioning out of the field within 3 years. And if they're even staying in the field, lots of people move around within the profession. So schools spend all this time hiring new staff, new teachers, and just when they're getting their sea legs, they often leave the new teachers. So what can we really be doing to support them? And so for this reason, I'm really excited tonight to have two great guests talking about the work that they're doing in supporting new teachers, as well as the work that they do in general in professional development support. And those guests are Jenn David-Lang. You might know Jenn from her the main idea memo, where she offers great critiques and summaries on books that different PLCs can use and improve how schools are doing teaching and learning. And we're also being joined by Kim Marshall, the publisher of the Marshall Memo. And many of you probably have used his resources as well, which look more at articles that came out recently that, again, PLCs might want to use and take tips from in their own practice at their own schools. But tonight, like I said, we're really going to be speaking mainly about the work they're doing in supporting new educators and why that's such an important area for our work. So, Jenn, Kim, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Our pleasure.
We'll start with Jenn and then we'll go to Kim on this question. And that is why focus on new teachers? I know I more or less introduced this topic, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on, given all the work that both of you do, why are you spending time speaking specifically about this right now? Jenn?
Sure, yeah. And do you want me to give people context of where this information is, or we'll do that later?
However you want to do it.
Sure. So, well, just so people know, we are sharing some recent information that we just uploaded to our website. Kim and I have combed through all of Kim's archives of article summaries for, thousands of articles. And we've chosen the best ones for different topics. And so this month we chose the best ones on supporting new teachers. So we recently uploaded that chapter. It's not really a chapter, that section on the website. It's at the bestofmarshallmemo.org. And so the reason we thought this topic was so important, and you'll find these statistics in the chapter, is that research shows that about 11% of your first year teachers are going to leave your school by the end of year one, and between 20 and 40% of your new teachers will leave within the first 5 years. So that is an incredibly large number, and that takes a huge toll on your school, on the other teachers, on the students. Having that kind of turnover is not good for anyone. And so we gathered some articles to help both leaders think about what are some structures they could put into place so that they can better support and onboard new teachers so that they stay. And then a few of the sections are also directly for teachers. If that's primarily who's listening to your podcast, we have two whole sections for new teachers themselves as to what they can do to stay in the game, because obviously it is one of the most difficult jobs in the world, and the first year is one of the most difficult transitions of the year.
And I will link in the show notes, Jenn, to the website so folks have that. Kim, how about you? Why did you, with all the topics that you could be providing resources on, why did you spend this time? I mean, Jenn already talked about some of the statistics, but I'd love to hear from you why you think it's important to focus on new teacher development.
So I had a horrible first year teaching, and that may be true of a few other people out there. I ask audiences, and often 3/4 of the hands shoot up. And there's this sort of fatalistic belief that that's the way it is. The ed schools don't do a good job. People come in unprepared, especially for classroom management. They get swamped. They cry every night. They cry sometimes during the day, and they quit. And so I don't think that's inevitable. And I thought what we tried to do is to find articles about, first of all, what a principal can do. Secondly, what the professional working conditions in the school, especially other colleagues, can do. And then specific strategy. One of the nicest articles is one by a teacher who ended up years later being like the National Teacher of the Year for Oklahoma. But in her first year, she was drowning. And she hit upon this strategy of every day I'm going to find at least one good thing that happened. This girl perked up. This boy stopped, running out every 5 minutes. This kid got excited about the Civil War, whatever it was. And just every day she would write that down, even if she had thought she'd had a horrible day. And that really was a pivot for her. So just specific techniques like that. In classroom management, there's one school, which is actually about a mile away from where I am right now in Massachusetts, that had a very systematic mentoring program where, two people in the school, Gail Davis and Margaret Metzger are their names. They set up this program where they would frequently visit the teachers, frequently give them support, take them on retreats, get them together with their other new teachers, get all kinds of support that really made a huge difference in the turnover of the school. In addition, there's this idea that there's some people who really don't belong in the business and they need to be counseled out, but there are other people who are struggling that do need to be in the business. And Jenn loves this article where the simple act of a principal saying to a teacher, "What would it take for you to stay?" And just finding out the specific things that will keep that person in the game. And then in the second year, they get better. And in the third year, they get better. So I think that's what got us excited about this. And the timing of this coming out in May is just absolutely perfect now, because this is the time when some teachers are leaving, they're hiring. And by the way, there's another thing on this website about hiring and interviewing. So we just thought this is a good time to step up and say, here are some very specific things so people do not have to have this horrible first year.